You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge, just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
So it's Veterans Day, so I just want to talk about Veterans Day for just a moment. I always wonder what I should or shouldn't or can say or need to say on days like this. There's a thing going around on social media a couple of days ago, and they're like, well, show your pictures of you, in your uniform or doing service and talk about what you did. And the first thing I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm nothing special. I just did my time, did what I was supposed to do. Nothing extraordinary other than you get to work with some extraordinary people and hopefully do some good. I was on active duty for 12 years before I couldn't physically do it anymore. And my health since, those of you that know my story, if you don't, I've wrote about it in detail. I won't bore you with the details here. Got some health issues from it. Not alone in that. There's about 9 million veterans enrolled in the Veterans Health Administration healthcare program. I want to talk about that for just a second because we bash on the VA and we talk about the VA, but I think a lot of Americans just don't understand the price that's paid by so few people. There's little less than 1% of people on active duty at any given time in America, which is pretty extraordinary. But less than 1%. There's something around 6% of the population that is veterans now. That's down from 25% just a generation ago. More and more, fewer and fewer people protect our freedoms and serve in the uniformed services. That's pretty extraordinary. That's very unique in the world, especially for a country as big and as powerful and with the military that America has, to have an all-volunteer military. We haven't had a draft since Vietnam. I know technically we have selective service, but we haven't had a draft. It's all volunteer for going on to the third generation of people now. And yet, the VA is the second largest department of the entire federal government behind only the DOD. Third if you count the post office, but that's a little different because it's a different thing. It takes the largest integrated healthcare system in America to take care of 9 million veterans out of 330 million Americans. Just stop and think about that for a second. The largest healthcare system in America and the second biggest department of the entire federal government to take care of just 9 million people out of 330 million, our veterans. Now, I understand there's government bloat and there's, bureaucracy. I know it better than anybody because I'm a VA patient. That's where I get my primary health care. I understand all that. But it also goes to tell you the enormous cost of service. Most veterans will spend far more time in the VA healthcare system than they spend in uniform because it's for the rest of their lives. Especially ones that have service-related issues and other issues because, that's the only healthcare a lot of those folks have. So no matter what happens, they've got to, go with that system. The benefit system has long been a problem. The healthcare is pretty good. If you can get into it's the problem. People have had tremendous horror stories, myself included, trying to get into the system, trying to get their service-related health issues officially down as disabilities to get their ratings so that they can get the care that they need. A lot of people don't understand in the VA system, you actually have to have a threshold of about 30% to get free health care and full and total health care. People know about like 100% disability, but that process can take years, especially if you're an older veteran from like the Vietnam era, which a lot of the older veterans now are. And that's now the World War II generation's mostly passed off the scene and the Korean guys are all in their 90s. That's the generation that's, the elder care for the VA system. A lot of those guys had paper records or incomplete records, and they have a hard time getting into the system. So when we do Veterans Day, and we just had an election where people wanted to talk about patriotism, and they want to, use a lot of the language that should probably just be reserved for veterans and for wartime and for matters of state. They want to throw around words like service and traitor and things like this to pump up their outrage machines online. We should reserve that stuff for wartime. We should reserve that for matters of state that really matter when we have international conflicts or domestic conflicts. And I understand that politicians serve, and they serve honorably, and we should thank them for that, but it's not the same thing. At the same time, when we thank veterans for their service, there's a habit of making that a little flippant and not understanding what that actually means. They leave their families. They go overseas. Even the ones that don't, and, a small percentage of the military actually saw combat, but they still have friends. They're away from their families. The ones that saw combat come back with horrific wounds because of the technology we have. Upside downside, if you get them in the door of a medical facility during the Iraq or Afghanistan war, the survival rates are the highest in human history. It also means they have grievous wounds that were previously unsurvivable that these folks live with now. We talk about service. It's so much more than just signing up for it. It really is signing your life away in a lot of ways. There's positives to that. You get a lot of benefits. You can change your station in life if you take advantage of those benefits. I know I did. I didn't like where I was at in life, and I was like, I need to make a move, and I went to recruiters and signed up. And overall, it worked out for me. I have a lot of health problems, but I'm also the financial security I have, the ability to do this sort of stuff, my media stuff. My family has benefited from it. I have my house on a VA loan. I went to college. Almost all my college stuff was through either tuition assistance or my GI Bill. I'm taking classes right now because I still have GI Bill left. The benefits are pretty good now, especially post 9/11. So it's not like you don't get yours, but you got to make sure you get yours. The last year or so that I was active duty, because I had to have a desk job because I was in the process of leaving and my health was bad and I had some surgical issues and those sort of things. I was doing a lot of the training and working with the new incoming folks. And the things I would always tell them is like, listen, the service is going to get theirs. What are you going to get? Do you want to get your education? Do you want to save money? Do you want to see the world? Are you learning a particular skill set that you want to take into the civilian world after you're done with your service? Whether that's 4 years, 6 years, 20 years, 25 years, you're going to go back to, the real world. Is that what you're looking to do? And tell them like, look, this is a machine. They're going to get theirs at the cost of your body, your health, your mental health, your family, whatever it costs. Make sure you get yours. And for the people that accept that deal and take that trade, that's something we should honor. That's service. They're trading not just time. They're trading the ability to go do other things. Because remember, we got an all-volunteer military. A lot of the people in the military are exceptional people that could do just about anything anywhere else they wanted to be. A lot of them, especially the certain career fields that compared to the civilian world are grossly underpaid compared to what they can make on the outside. And they do it for a service. So when you talk about service and you're thanking veterans for their service, think on those things, that their service was a lot more. Their family served. I watched my youngest daughter being born on a webcam from Iraq. She was 4 months old the first time I held her in the jetway at the airport when I got home. That stuff matters. It doesn't get the coverage, but it matters. There's people that were permanently maimed and injured. Remember those folks. Memorial Day is more appropriate for our war dead than Veterans Day, but remember, there's a lot of them. And the people that did survive carry big chunks of those folks with them and have missing chunks of themselves because those folks aren't with us. So when you thank veterans for their service, make sure you think on those things. And when people want to pull out patriotism as a weapon over a football game, over an election, over anything, because, you know, nothing gets people fired up like wrapping the flag around it, right? If you really want to be patriotic and you really want to be political, advocate about these VA issues. Don't just say we support our vets, and don't just look at the top line money. Oh, we spent X amount of money on the VA. Start demanding your Congress people, like, okay, well, how's that money used? Is that going to admin, or is that going to picking up veterans that can't drive to the VA medical center? Is that going to mental health programs to make sure they have enough providers for everybody? Because you can have all the programs you want, you don't have enough providers, it doesn't matter. Is there a system in place now to make sure we're getting top quality doctors in the VA? Because VA doctors are grossly underpaid compared to their civilian counterparts. That's unsustainable. If you want to have good doctors, you're going to have to pay for them. Is the system for expanding community care for veterans so that they can go in the community and get things done? Dental care, elder care, memory care, peer groups, mental health care. These things have come leaps and bounds in the last 20 years. I know I'm a mental health care patient. I'm in a peer group. When I did my surgery in 2016, I also had to wait 10 months to get it because of the paperwork stuff. Now, it was a little different system back then. They've made some improvements, but these are the things people don't think of when they just say thank you for your service. So on Veterans Day, make sure you're thanking your veterans. If you're local community, your hometown, the city you live in, your county, your city, whatever, if they're doing something veteran related, go do it. If you have kids, take them to a cemetery or take them to a memorial and just put it in their head that, you know, this is a day we need to stop and think about these things and thank veterans. Go to one of the veterans care homes and just talk. A lot of those old vets, you know what they really want? Just sit down and talk to them. Just talk to them. They'll talk to you. They love it. They'll talk to you all day long. Just sit and talk to them. It'll be good for you, be good for your kids. But understand that service, when you serve as a veteran, it's a lifetime commitment, because there's going to be part of you that you gave up that you don't ever get back. And that's fine. That's what we signed up for. But that means if you really want to thank veterans for their service, when we're doing all this other political stuff, make sure you're advocating for them, especially the older ones who start losing a voice as they get older and older and older. And understand that taking care of veterans isn't just throwing money at the system, because it's already the biggest healthcare system in the country just for 9 million people. And there's about 16 million veterans in America, and only half of them are going to the VA. If the other half have to show up, imagine how overwhelmed it'll be. Start advocating for a country that takes care of those that serve the best, and not just by throwing money at it, but actually paying attention to the little details on what these veterans need in programs, in care, in support. You know, it'd be nice if people that protest football games and political actions and boycotts and all this, never yet seen any of them outside of a VA facility boycotting for better benefits or a more streamlined process for benefits. You know, actions speak louder than words, folks. You want to be patriotic? You want to say you love America? Help take care of our veterans, not just in word, but in deed, in ways that actually could really, really matter. Imagine how good you'll feel next Veterans Day if you spend the next year just doing a couple little things involving that.
All the music on Her Tell is provided under a Creative Content license from monstercat.com.
Somos la máquina.